And as Clinton Save-A-Lot owner Dave Jackson always says,
hope to see you soon.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in the on the Zoom today is Ed Shimon, National Weather Service in Lincoln. Always good to see you, Ed. How are you this morning?
Doing great, Seth. Thanks for having me on.
Sure. Well, if we're gonna continue this trend, Ed, of bringing you on, and we're gonna have severe weather 2 or 3 days in the next 2 or 3 days after your appearance, I might have to give you the boot and turn to Mike or Nicole or some of your colleagues over there, because this is getting out of hand. In all seriousness, Ed, what do we know?
Yeah, we're warmer than normal, and that it always feels good in April. I mean, we're hitting some 80s. The humidity levels are really much higher than we'd normally see this time of year, though. So that's gonna give the fuel for those storms on Tuesday and through Wednesday. Severe weather threat, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's kind of go day by day here, Ed. We were talking before we got started this morning. It is really, really muggy out there. It's almost to the point it's sticky inside. Tell me a little bit about kind of our day by day forecast. What are we in store for here this week?
Yeah, so with the real humid areas, you can imagine we're going to have chances of showers and a few thunderstorms in there. Today is just a real spotty 20% chance in there for the DeWitt County area. But we're going to climb all the way up to 83, well above normal. So some gusty southwest winds. So it's gonna feel like a summer day almost, with that 83 high there. But not a lot of rain. It's just really spotty. Tonight, showers are still in there, 30% chance. Once again, just kind of scattered across the area. When you're in a warm sector, like I've mentioned a few times, it's kind of pop-up summertime thunderstorm kind of situation. You don't have a cold front blasting through to trigger a whole line of storms that all go off. So we're really kind of hit and miss, and some of the models are really showing more of the miss. DeWitt County looks really dry all the way through, even most of the day Tuesday. I know Tuesday now we got 40% chance during the day after 1 o'clock. There's a couple of pop-up ones, that drip through McLean County or in the area. So that'll be pretty hit or miss. But the real show is going to be Tuesday night. That's when the severe threat that we have, the enhanced risk just north of DeWitt and the slight risk in DeWitt. That's when those storms are going to come closer to hitting the DeWitt County area. And that's mostly like a late evening, midnight through 2 in the morning kind of time frame, it looks like. So some heavy rain, but the threat there for that time of the night probably will be mainly large hail and some damaging downburst winds. I don't know that tornadoes are going to be as big of a threat at that point of the night, but that's always a possibility. And in this atmosphere, we've got some rotation, some wind shear, so that's gonna fuel some of those storms. So check the third Tuesday night forecast closely as we get that approaches, because that's our highest severe threat at this point, it looks like. And then as we get into Wednesday, then those storms are going to just kind of stay nearby. So Wednesday morning, right out of the gate, you could have some strong storms already going as you head to work. We've got, I think, a 90% chance in there. Yeah. So there's going to be rain on Wednesday, just a matter of the severity level. But definitely want to have your eyes to the sky and be weather aware there, because as you're traveling to work, there could be some pretty strong storms still in the area. And a good part of the day, there's going to be kind of several waves of heavy rain that's going to be moving through the area on that Wednesday into Wednesday evening time frame. So we are also in an outlook on that day for severe threat. I think it's the slight risk is close by. Maybe DeWitt's only in the marginal, but they'll kind of massage where that higher threat zone is as that approaches a little bit there. But yeah, it just looks wet Tuesday night through Wednesday evening. There's just going to be a lot of stormy, rainy activity in the area.
Okay, gotcha. So on the other side of all of that, Ed, does it cool down or anything, or what's what are we looking at temperatures Wednesday through Friday, we'll say?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Wednesday still, highs mid 70s, 76 or so. We really don't cool down. The rest of the week stays pretty mild. Pop-up showers and storms even on Thursday, 79 for a high. Friday, we're 85, one of the warmer days of the next 7 days. Really, it is the warmest day of the next 7. Friday, 30% chance of showers there, 40% chance on Thursday. So we stay in the warm sector. We don't have a cold frontal passage till Saturday night. Well, Saturday during the day, and that's going to start to bring in some cooler air. Then the highs, on Saturday 71, Sunday 60, and then in the 50s on Monday the following week. So, and then the lows are going to kind of creep down toward the 30s again. Anytime we say the word 38 for a low, then you got to think, maybe a little bit of frost forming at the ground level. So, we're going to cool down next weekend, I should say, into early the following week.
Sure.
And then we'll be dry, as we head into Sunday. Says sunny and 60. Same thing for Monday. It's going to be cooler and dry. It appears that's finally when we're going to dry out in terms of rain chances, anyway.
Okay. So by the time it's all said and done, any idea how much precipitation we could be in for here in the next week?
Yeah. I've got a 7-day plot here, and it's pegging 1.5 inches to 2 inches for DeWitt County. So, that's just 7 days. That's normally a half a month.
Wow.
Wow. So if we get up to 2 inches, so that's a lot of rain. And, we've been taking a bite out of our drought, and this is hopefully going to help continue that trend here.
Yeah. So. Well, and it's, again, I go back to conversations we've had many times over the years now, Ed. It's one of those things. You want a good soaking and you don't want it all at once. And that seems to be where we're headed here. Yeah,
that's exactly. This week is textbook help take a bite out of the drought, because it's just going to become in chunks and waves, and not like a 6 to 8 inch rainfall on any one day, something like that.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Ed Shimon, National Weather Service in Lincoln, is our guest on the Zoom here for this morning. Well, Ed, let's get into the rest of April while we're on the topic. It sounds like we cool down next week. I don't know if there are outlooks for, say, what is next week? Next week's the 20th through 24th. I don't know if there's outlooks for, say, like the 19th through the 30th or anything. But what are the kind of last 2 weeks of the month showing for what we could be in store for?
Yeah, it switches back to above normal, and even the 6 to 10 days still has above normal temperatures in there. So even that brief cool down early next week, I wouldn't suspect that's going to last very long at all, because the 20th to the 26th, 8 to 14 day outlook, solidly in the 50th to 60th percentile of above normal temperatures and above normal precip. So we have a short break in there when high pressure settles in Sunday, Monday, but it looks like they're going to have a few more storms coming back as we head into the late week into the following weekend. And then the 3 to 4 week outlook, that's where we finish out the month. April 25th through May 8th shows below normal just north of DeWitt County, actually all the way down to about Ice, Peoria, Bloomington, and north is below normal temps. So we're not going to be pegging the meter in the 80s probably as we finish out the month on a more frequent basis. And then above normal precip still in there for the end of the month, early start of May. So not a real strong signal there, just a little tip to the balance, 33 to 40% above normal precip probabilities there. But we should get some nice rainfall that's going to really take the drought out of the story almost, really. We can get this rain the rest of the month. If we get that much rain the rest of the month, we're really going to have very low areas of drought that are impactful at this point.
Sure. What are temperatures for this time? What are normal temperatures for this time of the year? What does and how about when we finish April? Where do those jump to? And then what is normal precipitation for April? Where do we stand, and where do you think we end up? How about a few of those things, Ed?
Sure. Yeah, we're above normal precip for April already. I mean, I plotted the CocoRa's summary of April 1st to the 13th, and just north of DeWitt County, there's a 4.92, which, normal for the month is 4.25. So some areas already have their full monthly amount of rain. And in the DeWitt County area, our CocoRa's are about 2.5 inches, just shy of 2.5. So they're doing well. It's above normal on our climatology. We're about a half inch above normal at the Lincoln office, and that includes, looks like, roughly all the way through DeWitt County. So you're above normal in precip, and I think we're going to end up above normal pretty solidly. Wow. Because we're going to get another couple inches of rain, out of the next week's storms, and then we remain above normal tendencies all the way through the end of the month. So I'd be surprised if we end this month and we're not, about an inch above normal, probably around there.
Wow. Gotcha. Did you say where temperatures usually end up in April?
Yeah, right now the normal high is 63 and normal low is 39
Uh-huh.
in this April, but at the end of the month it's 70. The 70 is in there, and then 46.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
70 is nice. And then as you head into May, by the end of that first week, it's 72 and 49. So we're pretty regularly in the low 70s at that point. And
Yeah.
lows right around 50.
At this time of the year, it's the joke, and it's not necessarily just this time of the year, but it's, the mantra, if you don't like the weather in Illinois, just hang around for a day and it'll change. What makes March, April, even May to some extent so unpredictable when it, or so volatile when it comes to, we're going to be 85 today, and then we're going to drop down to 57 the next day. What is up with all that? That's the swings in weather patterns.
Sure. Yeah. Good question. Because the wintertime jet stream is right across the central part of the country on a frequent basis. And in the transition time, that jet is going to start to shift back north again. And we're going to be under warmer conditions, and the cold air will be bottled up in Canada. But there's really cold air still not too far away in Canada, and there's really warm air in the southwest U.S. And that battles, and we're in the battleground. So as that jet stream is trying to oscillate back north and set up for the summer and give us those heat domes, we're in the battleground. And you can get a day where that jet stream buckles and all of a sudden you got Canadians 40s, or you get a surge of a low pressure in the west coast, shoves that hot air right into the central plains, and you're dealing with 85s and 90s within a 2-day period.
Yeah, right.
One day we were 80, and then we dropped to about in the 30s that night, 50 degrees in like 8 hours, 6 hours.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of air masses that are so close together in this transition time of spring. And that's why the weather's so volatile. You can really generate some intense storms when the temperature differences of 30s and 40s and 90s are that close together.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, for sure. How about daylight hours? We're ever increasing on the daylight hours. Where do we typically end April? I guess what sunset's been 7:30 ish lately. Where do we typically end April for daylight time?
Yeah, the sunsets by the end of the month are going to be 7:43 or so, getting closer to 8 o'clock at night, and then sunrises will be right near 6 a.m. So, we're going to be getting into that 13 and a half to 14 hours of sunlight, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely good to be able to enjoy your evenings with a little bit of light in the sky. And then, if you're an early riser, 6 a.m. sunrise, twilight's about a half an hour before that even. So, if you get out there and maybe run or do something outside, you can start to see what's going on around you already as early as 5:30 a little bit, by the end of the month anyway. So.
Dare I say we've seen perhaps the last of the snow for the year, Ed, and are we maybe out of the kind of I know 50s is plotted for early next week, but I don't know. It feels like we have turned a corner, at least from a temperature perspective. What do you say to that?
Yeah, the outlooks support no more snow really, and if it would be like you'd see the flakes flying maybe, and then they melt. But I would highly suggest that you could probably have a good chance of putting away your shovel at this point and not have to, you're not gonna have to shovel. If there's some snow that falls in central Illinois, it's gonna melt pretty quickly. We would have to get hammered for you to have to use a shovel at this point. And in the outlooks, even through the middle part of May, I'm not seeing any real cold air masses that would support that kind of a snowstorm in central Illinois. Things would have to really change in the extended outlooks at this point to really allow for that kind of a cold air mass to get in here.
My kid wants to know, can we start wearing shorts every day, or are we not quite there yet?
Yeah, you can. Absolutely. It's your tolerance. I grew up in Wisconsin. We wear shorts in the 30s. So,
very good. Well, Ed, where do folks go to find outlooks, weather information, data, all the things? Where do they find it?
Weather.gov/Lincoln.
Let's take a break, my friend. Come back with some more. Ed Shimon, National Weather Service in Lincoln, is my guest on the Zoom. More to come with Ed on the morning show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Monday. I'm Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network. We start the day with two-sided trade with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. May corn opening 442 3/4, up 1 3/4. July corn up 1 1/2, 452 3/4. New crop December 473 1/4, up a penny. May beans opening 1170, down 5 3/4. July beans down 6 1/4, 1185, and new crop November 1155 1/2, down 2 1/4. May Chicago wheat 581 3/4, up 10 3/4. May KC wheat 605 3/4, up 15. May bean meal 330.20, down $1.60. May bean oil 67.56, up 47 cents. Energy market June Brent crude oil up 674, 101.94.
This is
Spring is in the air, so it's time to choose your new Silverado. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. We have a good selection of new Silverados with springtime savings and special finance rates. Choose from regular cabs, double cabs, or crew cabs in gas or diesel. We're also allowing extra money for your trade on all new Silverados this month. Silverado, together let's drive. See all our inventory at BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Here's Matt Hart, owner of the Hart Media Group in Clinton, talking about continuing to serve the community through new ownership.
Things came together and we reached an agreement to purchase. And as you mentioned, we closed August the 1st. So as August the 1st, Miller Media Group is now Hart Media Group. And we're continuing to serve the people of Clinton and DeWitt County and Monticello and Bloomington and Decatur and everywhere, because we'll just keep connecting people as we've been doing.
The Hart Media Group looks forward to continuing to serve the community for years to come.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Ed Shimon, National Weather Service in Lincoln, is my guest on the Zoom. Ed, let's get an update on the drought. You mentioned we may just wipe out this drought conversation altogether before the end of the month. What's the latest? What do we know here?
Yeah, we've done a lot of improvement on that front. DeWitt County right now is in the lowest abnormally dry, D0. At this point, there's just a little far eastern corner of D1 moderate drought, and that extends into northern Champaign County. But, it's a vast improvement from the extreme D3 drought we had in a lot of Champaign, eastern DeWitt. We've got at basically the lowest level D0. So if we get just a couple more weeks of above normal precipitation, I would suspect that Dr. Trent Ford, the state climatologist, will work with us on massaging that down to probably, no drought classification. But, we still had some aquifers that needed to be replenished and whatnot. So we'll see, if that comes into play a little bit. But right now, the soil moistures are showing, not too bad at this point. D0 is just abnormally dry, so to speak.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. So, yeah, and a couple more inches to close out the month. It sounds, or did you say a couple inches just this week?
This in 1 week said, the 7-day outlook has 1.5 to 2 inches for DeWitt County.
Yeah, gonna be wet. Gonna get wet out there. So glad I got the yard mowed yesterday. Quite honestly, it'll shoot back up before we know it, for sure. Any windows to get the yard mowed? Maybe Friday, Saturday ish, Ed.
Yeah. There's going to be a little bit of a break in there. Even if like most of Tuesday probably won't be that wet. I think our rain coming in for the DeWitt County areas, after sunset Tuesday night. So if you've got today, tomorrow, all day, even into the evening, probably to get it, some of that cut.
Gotcha.
After that, it looks like Friday has some openings in there,
okay.
And for sure, Sunday is kind of a week away almost, but that's the real it's dry day. It's Sunday.
I don't know if I've told you this before. I've got a Saint Bernard at our house, and and our backyard gets pretty muddy when it gets wet,
Oh.
just with all the trampling he's done. And I'm thinking about maybe I need to wash him or something before he goes to his next grooming appointment. He's going to get awfully dirty. But
Oh, yeah.
anyways, hey, Ed, let's dive into the forecast for May, June, July. What's the 3-month outlook tell us about ushering in the summer?
Yeah, right now it's May, June, July showing above normal temperatures. Just the tier 1, that's 33 to 40% tipped balance towards above normal, but and then equal chances of precipitation above or below normal there. So looking okay. I mean, nothing too hot, nothing too wet, just kind of a normal ebb and flow looks like of a spring here. And even the true summer, June, July, August is climatological summer, and that shows just equal chances for temperatures.
Okay.
So there's the heat wave doesn't look like it's going to set up during the summertime, the middle of the summer there. So, and then precipitation wise just shows equal chances of above or below normal again there. So, just kind of ebb and flow of summer. It looks, no major heat waves at this point. So that's kind of a good thing, because that usually spells rapid onset drought. If we see a really high above normal temperature signal, that usually spells, not a lot of rain coming through. So yeah, we may have, we may see equal chances of precipitation, but I would maybe see that probably expand if we're going to have a little bit cooler air. That just means more cold fronts are coming through.
Where do temperatures start in May? Where do they end in May?
Yeah. May starts out with that 70, 47 high and low, but by the end of the month, 80, 57. Nice. We're averaging an 80. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's really comfortable there.
I did want to ask, pardon me, sorry about that. I did want to ask Ed, I am thinking about putting a garden in my yard this summer. I'm really more watching the overnight lows than anything. When do we start to see those overnight lows maybe creep up towards that upper 40s, lower 50s? I can start putting some stuff in the ground and feel okay about it not freezing to death.
Yeah, after May 1st, you really have a solid chance there, because our normal low at May 1st is 47, but by the 8th, it's 50.
Okay.
So, when the overnight lows average 55 or above, that's when you really get that overnight growth. If they creep down towards the 40s, then slows things down quite a bit. But those warm nights in the spring are really what keep the pump going in terms of the greening up and the growth.
Okay.
Yeah, after the first week of May then you're normally going to be in the low 50s at least for lows for the most part there. So that's
beautiful,
really comfortable. You don't have to worry about freezes usually at that point.
Sure. Let's wrap up, Ed. Any awareness campaigns or things the Weather Service is putting out in terms of information?
Yeah, April is still severe weather season, so I always want to toot that horn of tornadoes can cause a lot of damage very quickly, and having a plan on how you're going to respond to tornado warnings and following that is so important. Lightning awareness, we're having things, baseball starting and everybody's outside a lot more now. So lightning awareness, while Lightning Safety Week is in June, I always want to mention, if you hear thunder, really just pause things for a bit until you can, have that thunder end for 30 minutes.
Very good. Ed, where do folks go to learn about all things weather, data, and forecasts?
Weather.gov/Lincoln.
Very good. Ed Shimon, National Weather Service in Lincoln. Ed, always good to see you. Appreciate your time as always. Network News comes your way next on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.